Good morning, everybody. It seems impossible these days to start a presentation without some disco music first, but it's okay. My name is Adriaan Hart. Please don't try to pronounce my name. It's a Dutch name. It's very difficult to pronounce. And I'm from Cascara Ventures, which is actually a private fund which I created after selling my company. I will tell you a little bit more about that in this presentation. But before I start, I would like to do some raising hands. Who of you are entrepreneurs? Who of you are busy in a startup? All right. Who of you have a great team? All of you. Okay. Who of you have a good product? All of you. That's really good. And who of you are developing something for a market, an existing market, or let's say a probable market? Still everybody, that's good. So you score maximally 100% on all these questions. Now my last question, and that's maybe a little bit more difficult, is who of you has found or is looking for the right investor? I'm glad I see some people that I know there. Because that's essentially what I would like to be talking about here. What are we, and we is investors in general, what are we looking for? How do I get my next slide? That goes like this. Yeah. So these were the questions. A great team creating a good product in a probable market. But of course, every investor is different. So you have all these things, but nobody wants to invest in your company. What's wrong? Why don't they understand what I'm saying? What is wrong? And what I would argue is that every investor has his own particular interests and ideas and focus. And sometimes it's written down in his, in his objectives, or sometimes it's something in the back of his head based upon previous experience. So, as I'm doing my own introduction, I'm also telling you about my preference and why do I invest in particular companies that other investors don't like at all. So my own background is I worked for 20 years in life science applied research, regulatory affairs and marketing in what we call a CRO, a contract research organization. And now I work in venture capital. So most of my career is as an entrepreneur myself. And this company was MSOURCE, clinical research organization, which I sold to TÜV Süd, which is the leading notified body. And I also had an IT company, ClinSource, IT for clinical research, essentially. I started my career in a medical department of a pharmaceutical company a long time ago. And by training, I'm an MD, and I'm a specialist in pharmaceutical medicine, which is a specialty that only exists, as far as I'm correct, in England and in Belgium. Two countries with a lot of applied research going on. Married, I've got 3 children. Yeah, this is what I did. I developed a company from 2 people to 280 people, doing all the tasks first myself, then hiring people. And now that I invest, I would say that my experience, so everything I went through, determines how I look at a startup. I did the initial bookkeeping myself in the company. So somebody was surprised when I was reviewing a company. I asked, as part of my due diligence, can I take a look at your bank statements? She said, yeah, nobody ever does that. No investor does it. But it's one of the best indications to know that actually something is going on in a company. And you see the money flowing in from customers. So your background determines how you look at startups. And of course, I will look at the development program, the clinical development program, because we did clinical trials for all kind of companies. Half actually of all our trials were for medical device companies. And of course, the early marketing approach, because if you say clinical development, you say early marketing. It's working with and talking to key opinion leaders, people who are decisive for your initial sales success in the market. Contract research dedicated to the life science industry, that's what I did. And one of my experiences also that we had to work in an environment that is not so cozy as today's environment. Because let's be honest, today there are investors everywhere. There are accelerator programs. Now there is Spark. My friend Pasi just explained to you how Spark works, and these accelerator programs make it easy for you. But to be honest, I started without all these things. I had to do it with 100,000 of my own money. And that meant that I was always, when I would go to a place like, I remember going to Göteborg, they call it Göteborg or something like that, I was really looking at the price of the ticket. Can I afford myself to go to this client? What is the chance of winning this client? Because maybe that ticket price is too high for as an investment for this sales contact. Anyhow, we sold after 14 years. We did it all without VCs, so we ended up with 100% of the share capital in the company. Of course, it's a service company. It's a bit easier than a product company. We developed all kind of specialties in medical devices, insourcing, regulatory. We opened 6 subsidiaries in different countries. I worked myself in another country. I went from Holland to Belgium to do this. The great thing, and I really enjoyed it, we always worked with top researchers who were busy with new developments, new ideas. So we always had the opportunity to tap their brain and to find out, how did they get into this innovation. And that has always been the real fun of what I'm doing. And essentially that's the reason that I'm now investing in these companies. I just like these ideas. I like to develop new ideas. Yeah, the experience makes that if I now look at a startup, I really want to see that it's possible to make a sensible investment in a company that is able to preserve its cash flow. That is, we're looking at capital efficiency. It's becoming a little bit too easy, as I said, these days. There are enough investors around. So I see that simply the efficiency of using that capital is going down. It's still important to bootstrap, to do things in a more efficient way. And it's not true that efficiency will lead to a lower quality. We always said quality and efficiency go together in clinical research. That was our slogan. But I think quality and efficiency also go together in investing. So preserve capital. And another thing is don't sell too early on. I went on with my company for 14 years. These days, especially in IT, people sell after a couple of years and then they're very happy and wow, we made an exit and we go to the next company. But if you are sitting on a riding train, a train that's going forward, usually the train will keep on going. It doesn't stop so quickly. So if you are growing 30-40% per year and you sell your company, you're very happy, you're telling all your friends, wow, I made a lot of money, you're maybe doing the wrong thing. Because if you're growing 30-40% per year in like 1.5 2 years, you already doubled the value of your company. So in general, don't sell too early on. Then there are 3 success factors. I would say people, people, and people. Certainly in my business in the past, but I see it in ventures exactly the same. And people have to be, of course, well selected, well instructed. That's really your task as a management team, and well managed. As an investor in life science, I hope to add value with the financial investment that I make, with my own entrepreneurial experience. So I really look at teams and I want to see, are they actually listening to me? Do they appreciate my advice? If not, maybe somebody else should do it. Maybe their problems are in a different area. Adding value with my clinical research background and, of course, with my network in the industry. My particular areas are cardiovascular orthopedics, allergy, surgery, and oncology. That's by experience. I mean, there are no particular reasons why these areas are better than other areas, some people say, but there are opportunities in all clinical areas. And of course, I'm interested in companies with a healthy strategy, with a sound strategy, a strategy that can be explained in like 20 minutes. If you cannot explain it in 20 minutes to me, then I'm not going to call you back. So it has to be a clear pitch. Pitching is very difficult. I would say that even in my portfolio, there are still people who don't pitch well, and I'm telling them and I'm helping them. You have to be able to tell your story in 20 minutes, otherwise something is wrong. And I'm always looking for diagnostic and therapeutic niches that could become major markets without too much competition. New treatments, improved treatments, better detection. Well, you've seen this all before. Solutions for better health, facilitating care, return on investment. Healthcare is a top area for innovation, as we all know. In my view, entrepreneurship is really about a good idea and then defining the exact market. Look around within your addressable market for areas where there is particular use for your innovation, where people really immediately see the benefit and focus on those areas. Usually it's applying existing and sometimes new technology to existing problems. For an entrepreneur, it's important to make a return on investment, just like for the investor, and also think in terms of contributing to healthcare. You have to do something useful. Otherwise, you're looking back, and you ask yourself, what did I really do? And by that, contributing to society. And then don't forget that you're not only fulfilling your own aspirations as an entrepreneur, but the aspirations of a complete team. All the people you hire also have this special feeling of being part of a startup, of being part of something absolutely unique. And they also want to see the result of that. So then, making the match with an investor, as I said, there is currently a bit of a boom in life science investing. Maybe it doesn't feel like that because it's difficult to get an investor, but there are more and more deals. And I would say that the investors are becoming more specialized. In the US, there are even teams who simply, they're almost like a pharmaceutical company. They select certain market niches, they look around for technology, they find people, and they create a startup. So the initiative is with the investor. It goes this far. How then do you find the right investor? As I told you, there are 3 elements of a great startup. A great team, a good product, and a probable market. Usually, if you start with a team, that's what I like, there are 3 people that work together in a good way. I like to see a team of minimally 3 with 3 roles, essentially. One is the scientist who says, I can make something. I can make something that is unique. 2 is the salesman who says, well, I think I can sell your stuff. I can sell it to people and I can arrange these things. And 3 is a controller type who says, well, can we really afford that? Do we have the money to do that? And did you think about this? And did you think about that? Somebody who's working on the brake. So you have the salesperson who is pushing forward, another person who is putting on the brake, and then you have this scientist kind of person. And essentially the CEO can be, in my view, it can be any of those 3. Well, an example of a great team here in Finland, I met these guys on my last visit. They worked together in an Aalto University project for over a year. And it all started with the idea of making surgery safe. And the guy in the middle is the CEO, Visa, and he was attending an operation where a young child operated for a brain tumor had a complication with a cardiac arrest, simply because the surgeon, with his drill, hit a blood vessel. And they started discussing, and the surgeon said, yeah, it's not always possible to prevent this. And we need surgical drills that are safer, that don't skip so easily, and that don't go immediately through soft tissue. And they just worked on that idea, and then they found a very smart engineer, that's the only one with the glasses, he's also sitting in the room here, who came up with a really great innovation that should have been found maybe 20 years ago, but nobody found it. And well, I was sitting actually in the hotel lobby, and they came with all the equipment, with a wooden plate and with drills and the whole set. And I was afraid we were going to be kicked out of that lobby, but we weren't. And we started drilling. I actually have a video of it. I should have taken the video. It was actually quite funny. So we were drilling there in the lobby and they showed me that their burr, you can see it over there, goes through the hard tissue. It went through the wood. But it didn't go through the surgical drape that we placed under it, which could be the dura mater, so the layer that protects the brain, or a vessel wall. And on top of that, it avoids the soft tissue, but on top of that, it also keeps the temperatures low, which is good to protect nerves. And to navigate with control, because it doesn't skip. If you know it's from woodworking yourself, you try to drill at the first part, and then whoop, it skips away. And this one doesn't skip. I tested it myself. I was very intrigued. And Pasi told me, listen, Adriaan, nobody is helping these guys. They have a great invention, but nobody is helping them. And he didn't have a spark ready yet. Now it's no problem, of course, but. So I said, okay, I'm on a bit of a distance, but I think I can help them. I'm here anyhow 4 times per year, minimally. So I help them. Great team, great guys, and although they're very young, I think they will go fast with their first startup. Secondly, a good product. So particularly me, but I think more people in life science investing like intellectual property, good IP, and technology, and of course rapid development, not 20 trials to get there, but maybe just 1, and advantages that you can actually demonstrate. It's nice to have advantages, but if you can't prove them, you're going to discuss forever with the hospital administrator, and he's not going to believe you. A good product example was the first company that I invested in a couple of years ago, which I exited. And they had a collagen that you can use for flattening the surface of joint bones. And that reduces the amount of arthrosis that you get while aging or after an accident. And a very smart way of applying, just with a syringe. I exited in 2 years. I supported them with clinical and regulatory advice. They're now on the market. They're gradually growing. And the long-term results are coming soon. So this is an example of a really good product that is easy to defend with intellectual property, and that has a clear benefit in orthopedics. Many of you are working or preparing for markets that maybe do not exist at the moment. That's the most difficult thing. Try to find something that already exists, so a big market, of course, where you can offer clear benefits, a probable market. Look at the reimbursement, that's often forgotten. Look at which stakeholders are affected. If the surgeons are earning less with the surgical drill, it would be a problem, but it's not. But look at that. Define the niche market, but also define the next extended market. A nice example of a probable but not so likely market, if you look at it, is the market of stroke prevention. Where Preventicus, a German company, developed a way to measure the rhythm with a phone or a watch. Now, this has been tried a couple of times, and many people failed, but they have it going. They have a lot of studies that prove that it's working. But now they need to develop a market that doesn't exist at the moment. It's not there. Nobody is paying for stroke prevention, but the potential benefit to society is huge. So it's really an e-health company, like there are many here at the Upgraded Life Festival. You really have the problem of shaping a market. It takes a lot of investment, but if we do it, then we are the first one in a new market. So I still see this as a probable market. What else do we need? Well, we need a group of serious investors, not just one, but a group for the next rounds, of course, that could be bigger than the initial one, and a combination of expertise. Then I would say the terms of any investment deal should be standardized, not too many difficult things. It should be symmetrical, the same for all people involved, so that the objectives are well aligned. There should be the proper incentives, and there should be value milestones that you can reach with each round, so that you don't get stuck somewhere in the middle. A big mistake by investors can be to invest too little, and then by the time the money is gone, you didn't really reach the next milestone, like CE approval. So you get stuck in the middle, and then the price goes down. So better to put up a little bit more in the beginning and make sure that they can reach the next milestone. So I would say as a conclusion, know your investor, know what he likes, and don't spend your time searching or let's say pushing for an investor who is not going to invest anyhow. You need to find people who like your particular product. So if you see the spark in their eyes and you see that they get it, they understand it, and they like it, then you spend more time. But otherwise, don't spend your time on this investor. make a great team, very important, and of course create a good product for what we call a probable market. And as you're doing it, also have a little bit of fun. It's also important. All right, thank you very much.